welcome to Watching Washington.
Why did you start C-SPAN?
Always wanted to be in this business, always.
If you had one piece of advice to give, what would you say?
Well, that's a great question.
Gun violence, abortion, inflation, voting laws, we can go on and on.
What do you think is most important to young voters?
That's such an excellent question. And I think that's the key issue.
Both sides want the power.
Today, parties are very different.
Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, February 24th, and welcome back to Watching Washington. My name is Ali Ortiz.
And my name is Mark Lunetta, and let's jump into what's been happening in Washington this week.
Today marks 1 year from the day Russia invaded Ukraine, and earlier this week, President Biden made an unannounced visit to Kyiv. This is the first visit to Ukraine since the invasion. According to CNN, the surprise visit came a day before the Russian President Vladimir Putin was to give a speech in regard to the anniversary. During his visit, President Biden announced an aid package that would provide Ukraine with more artillery and ammunition to defend themselves.
The world will impose unprecedented costs that are squeezing Russia's economic lifelines. Together, we've committed nearly 700 tanks and thousands of armored vehicles, 1,000 artillery systems, more than 2 million rounds of artillery ammunition, more than 50 advanced launch rocket systems, anti-ship and air defense systems, all to defend Ukraine, and that doesn't count the other $500 million we're announcing with you today and tomorrow. That's going to be coming your way. And that's just the United States in this piece. And just today, that announcement includes artillery ammunition for HIMARS and howitzers, more javelins, anti-armor systems, air surveillance radars to help protect Ukrainian people from aerial bombardments. Later this week,
Biden and his administration continue to voice their support of Ukraine and their plans for more sanctions on Russia. The purpose of these sanctions is to hit Russia's economy in hopes of weakening Putin's hand.
Following the president's surprise visit to Ukraine, he also traveled to Poland this week, where he continued to maintain support for Ukraine in a heated speech aimed at Russian President Vladimir Putin. In his speech, Biden repeatedly condemned Putin, pledging that the United States would not waver even as the conflict enters a new and more unpredictable phase as it enters the second year of war. In remarkably pointed terms, Biden accused Putin of atrocities and asserted that his attempt to subdue a sovereign nation would fail.
Autocrats only understand one word: no, no, no. No, you will not take my country. No, you will not take my freedom. No, you will not take my future. President Putin's craven lust for land and power will fail, and the Ukrainian people's love for their country will prevail. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
As White House aides claimed in advance, Biden's remarks were not timed to respond to a speech from Putin made on the same day. In Putin's speech, he said Russia is backing out of the START treaty, claiming the West was directly involved in attempted attacks against their air bases. The SMART treaty was the last nuclear arms pact between the U.S. and Russia. Russia has stated that the treaty is only under suspension and can be reversed if the U.S. shows political will and good faith, efforts for general de-escalation. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called Russia's move deeply unfortunate and irresponsible. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg traveled to East Palestine this week. His visit comes almost 3 weeks after a major train derailment causing the release of toxic chemicals into the air. The developing issue has seen nationwide attention, including that of the National Transportation Safety Board, and Buttigieg stopped by to make sure things run smoothly.
I'm trying to strike the right balance, allowing NTSB to play its role, but making sure we're here in that show of support. But in terms of the residents, which is what this is really about, the really striking thing to me is how they're here for each other. Now, this is not a community with infinite resources. Speaking with the mayor, hearing about what he has been through and remembering the experience of being a mayor, I am really impressed with how they've been able to support one another. And they're not here for the politics. They're here to make sure this community can move forward.
Buttigieg's visit comes just a few days after former President Donald Trump visited the site.
Back in November of 2015, ISIS planned attacks across Paris that killed 130 and injured 400 individuals. According to NPR, the family of Nohemi Gonzalez, a victim of the attacks, is challenging a law that protects social media companies from what the family see as the role of these platforms in aiding terrorist attacks. The Gonzalez family is suing Google, Twitter, Facebook, and more under the Federal Anti-Terrorism Act. This lawsuit is accusing these platforms of recommending ISIS videos and receiving ad revenue from viewers. The Gonzalez family and people alike believe that these social media platforms are aware of the harm caused and should be responsible for disturbing posts. There will be more updates to come as the case continues. Last Saturday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken and top Chinese Communist Party official Wang Yi exchanged heated words at the Munich Security Conference. According to NPR, this meeting was the first high-level contact between the United States and China after the U.S. shot down what they believe to be a Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. Yi, however, did not back down and denied harsh accusations from Blinken on CCP surveillance efforts. At the security conference, Blinken spoke to officials from around the world and participated in numerous discussions on the war in Ukraine, reiterating U.S. support. Blinken was joined at the security conference by a number of U.S. House representatives and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Coming up is a recession on the horizon. We'll give you this week's update on the state of stock market after this.
Imagine a world where Olympics and Paralympics are unified as one, and where all athletes at all levels have equal opportunities to play and perform at their full potential.
Athletics has been such an influential and transformative aspect of my life. So to me, RISE is about ensuring that every person that has the desire to participate in sport has the opportunity to do so.
This organization is about recognition. We believe in recognizing excellence where it is found, especially in Paralympic sports.
RISE is about driving change in our community and beyond. We hope that through our events and initiatives, we can galvanize people for our cause and inspire them to create an ever-growing network to help achieve our mission.
It's about connecting people of various backgrounds and who truly care about creating meaningful change together.
We develop projects and hold events to bring people together at the interface of inclusivity, sports, and engineering.
Our goal is to promote the equality of all sports and to improve sports performance and accessibility.
Join us so that you can have a major contribution in creating meaningful change.
Virginia Democratic State Senator Jennifer McKellen will become the first Black woman to represent Virginia in Congress. McKellen won Tuesday's special election for Virginia's 4th Congressional District after her predecessor, Representative Don McEachin, passed away due to complications from cancer. McKellen beat Republican pastor Leon Benjamin Sr. in the race in a heavily Democratic district. This further narrows the GOP majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. She has served in Virginia's part-time General Assembly since 2006 and has sponsored numerous key bills passed by Democrats during this time. It blows my mind that we're still having firsts in 2023, McKellen says, but it is an incredible honor. McKellen will become the 30th Black woman to join this Congress, all of them Democrats.
U.S. stocks posted their worst day of 2023 Tuesday, marking the index's worst downturn since December 15th. With inflation well above the central bank's target and a still tight labor market, the Fed is reaffirming their tough stance on inflation. Traders are concerned the Fed's continued increase in interest rates will tip the economy into a recession. According to CNBC, the fight against inflation is far from over.
Early Monday morning, North Korea launched 2 ballistic missiles into the waters off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. Simultaneously, Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, threatened there would be more to come if the US didn't halt military drills with South Korea. According to CNN, Monday's missiles tests were the second in just 3 days. The drills prompted the Japanese Prime Minister to push for an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting, and South Korea imposed sanctions on more companies. Additionally, Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for international support against North Korea's actions.
That's happened before in recent months, but this is yet again a provocative act by North Korea in violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. We call on others to condemn this action.
SpaceX's new rocket could redefine the way that we go to space. It cost NASA about $4 billion when they want to launch a shuttle into orbit. SpaceX's new Starship will only cost $10 million to launch, and the rockets are reusable. Along with being reusable, the rockets and boosters have a quick turnaround time for preparations for another launch. The biggest advantage of the new Starships is their versatility. It can be used for satellite deployment, ISS moon, and interplanetary missions. This will allow SpaceX to move forward with its plans for the moon and Mars.
After 2 weeks of uncertainty and terror for the people of Turkey and Syria, disaster strikes again. On Monday, February 20th, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake affected the same areas that are trying to recover from the previous quakes. In the most recent quakes, USA Today reports that 6 people were killed in Turkey and 2 in Syria, with up to 300 injuries as well. This region has been devastated by both the continued disasters and the fear caused by them. According to the Syrian American Medical Society, many people have suffered injuries from jumping out of buildings to escape further danger. And some have even experienced heart attacks due to the trauma. The trauma that this region has seen is not yet close to being solved, and might even worsen as magnitude 5-point aftershocks are expected to continue for at least a year.
Coming up on Watching Washington, John Waterworth interviews a Turkish student here at Purdue about the recent devastation in Turkey and Syria and what you can do to help.
CCSE provides numerous opportunities for students of all majors. This includes the student community, pizza and politics, the Boilers Go to DC Maymester, internships, and annual events like the Talk with Brian Lamb and the Research Conference.
The goal for the CCSE is to help students get more educated on politics, government, media in a nonpartisan fashion, and to learn how to use the C-SPAN Video Library for resources, for research of their own, to learn more about politics and obviously the government and journalism.
Find out what the Center for C-SPAN can do for you.
We have a special guest with us in the studio this week. A representative from Purdue's Turkish Student Association is with us today to discuss the aftermath of the disaster in Turkey and Syria.
Watching Washington reporter John Waterworth has the interview. How's it going, John?
It's going as well as it can today. Thank you. That's right. I've got Kaan Çankaya with me today to discuss the aftermath of the record earthquakes that have struck Turkey and Syria recently. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. My first question is, how has this catastrophe affected you while you're here at university?
It's hard because it's so close to, like, not where we live, but where we're from. I live in Ankara, but my family is originally from Mardin. And for the most case, all of our students here have relatives that are close to the impact zone. But it's been hard because we've tried our best to help from here, and all we can do is currently send donations such as money or clothing, and even that takes time to get there as well, so it's a bit hard.
Right. We actually spoke a little bit at the vigil the other day. Could you elaborate a little bit on the fundraising that's been going on here at Purdue and across the East Coast, from what I understand?
Yeah, of course. Right now, I actually did a post yesterday trying to show my appreciation for all the Boilermakers around, and I'm proud to say that I'm a Boilermaker as well, because I've seen a lot of people come together and unite to help us in this case. It is truly shocking how devastating the entire earthquake was. 10,000 buildings have collapsed. Countless people are still under the rubble. And surprisingly, they're still coming out of it. It's been how many hours at this point? We've forgotten, but we've donated quite some money right now, and some other organizations are also donating. I can tell a roughly figure of about $18,000 which is we're quite happy with because it really shows how Purdue can come together and support each of us at the hardest times. But in the United States, there's a mass Turkish population, which we have currently collected nearly $500,000 as the student organizations
Wow.
in every school.
And what kind of donations are you taking other than just money?
So our trip on Saturday was to drive all the supplies that we got from the vigil on Friday. And when we got there, we realized that the embassy doesn't need too many clothing at this point because we unloaded 8 trucks, put them into pallets, shipped it to the plane, and then that was sent home. But the major problem that they're facing right now is apparently those supplies are not reaching the cities because there's such backlog of all the trucks that are trying to get into the city. All the supplies that we're sending right now is currently en route, but it's going to take a while for them to get there. The best option for us right now is to send monetary funds. So all the money that we've collected around here, to send it to all the people who are helping get the survivors out, and also start the reconstruction process of the entire cities. My mom is currently on one of the cities that was destroyed, and she's telling me that it's flattened out. There isn't a town square anymore. There aren't any high-rise buildings anymore, and a lot of people are still looking for their relatives, and I think it's going to take a long time to rebuild the entire city from the ground up.
It's truly devastating.
Yeah.
How could a person here at Purdue help?
Well, I would like to thank all of you because I know that all of you have given so much support. There's countless people that I have in my mind that I would like to thank as well. I mean, the way you guys can help is definitely just by sending money at this point, because the first phase as the embassy, when I talked with the ambassador of Turkey, he told me that the first phase was to just get supplies out there because that's the first key. When people come out, they don't need money, they need, clothes and food to keep them warm. But right now, I think the biggest issue is all the families that have been displaced need some sort of monetary help to get back on their feet. And that's the current issue that they're facing. Not only are we supporting them, but everybody around the world has given some sort of contribution to this. And we're so happy that we can call everybody at Purdue our friends that can come to us and help, with everything that's been going on.
All right. Well, I think that's just about all we got for you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
We will continue to provide weekly updates on the topic. Thank you. And that's all we've got for you this week on Watching Washington. I'm John Waterworth, and we'll see you next week.